Sub here, welcome back. Going to look at a post I made that I wrote on social media because it's going to get pushed back, and I feel like I need to justify the things that I said and make it clear why I know what I know and what I'm talking about, and how the Zebleer, the exploit thing, is absolutely was real, right? So that's the issue, right? Like there's pushback already coming up from mostly the hacker hunter community and some other people about the legitimacy of this and whether or not this is just some grand conspiracy to protect the streamers, right? And I think that's nonsense for a lot of reasons. But I want to address the specific allegation that's kind of starting to be made, and I'm seeing it more and more. I came across this video from someone named Tage or Taggy, I don't know, whatever his name is. And he says the banned exploit is a lie, and he has proof. And so if you watch the video, his proof is he wrote a script to try it and tried it, and nothing happened, right? And then he addressed Zebleer's post and went on to say basically that everybody's lying, and these were just bans that were being real bans that were overturned, and this whole thing was made up to cover the streamers, whatever that means. And that's absolutely bullshit. Like this right here is like such a broken mentality, and I don't know how else to say it. This happened. This exploit happened. And everyone says, or not everyone, but I hear, how could it happen? Well, look, programming is about efficiency. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why this probably went down the way that it went down. Programming is about efficiency, right? We as gamers, especially those of us that are playing on PC, we know we want efficiency, right? We don't want 27 different programs dragging our frames down. Okay, Ricochet has to be lightweight for it to be accepted. Okay, if Ricochet eats up 30% of your hardware, your available RAM or memory or whatever, no one's going to like it, right? People are going to be very upset that it exists. It has to be so lightweight and seamless that no one notices it. Okay, and so part of doing that when you do programming is that you have as few processes as possible, and converting things from ASCII, from like real characters to encrypted characters, and building specific modules to do things like flag things and whatnot. Those take processing power, right? That takes resources to create, to implement, and then to use. And so if you have a system that's constantly having to decipher encoded messages set in the memory, and check that they say what they're supposed to say, or check that they've been modified in some way, right? Like that's a process that, if you're going for efficiency and to make it as small and lightweight as possible, that you want to try and get away from. So that's why a programmer would use ASCII. They would use real plain text for these sort of flags, right? Because they're innocuous in theory, right? It's just a little flag that goes on the account, and then their system comes through and does a sweep, and all the flags, or all the accounts that get flagged, they get banned, right? Like that's probably how this system worked. And it was kind of like, it's the equivalent of like just putting a gold star on somebody's paper, or like a red check mark on somebody's paper if they cheated, right? Versus taking their paper and typing it up and putting a whole rigmarole on it and ribbons and whatever, right? Like you could do a lot of stuff, right? But sometimes simplest is best, right? Unfortunately, in this case, simplest was not best because it was exploitable. And so people, I am one of them. I made a video yesterday I never put out because it made no sense to put it out, because the bug was so simple. It was such a simple thing. There's nothing to explain. But in this case, when you have people that are kind of deciding that this sort of thing is not legit, right? Like when they say that this, they start calling it a hack, and they start approaching it from the point of view of like, well, as soon as he said that, I went and tested it, and nothing happened, right? It didn't ban my account. Nobody got no problems happened. And the reality is that Activision knew about this before Zebleer posted what was going on, and they probably knew it was coming because of what Zebleer has said in the past. and I'm going to show you how Activision would have been ready for whatever he said was coming. So they would have been watching for this. And when he put his first post out, their team was ready for it. They didn't get caught by surprise, right? And I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. We assumed that Activision didn't know anything was going on until this thing dropped, and people had to be like bugging their friends at Activision, be like, "Hey, there's something going on. Like, we got to tag Activision 37 million times for them to realize, there's a problem." They already knew the problem was out there somewhere. They didn't know, probably didn't know what it was, but they knew who did, and they were watching to see what they would learn. And I'm going to show you how it happened. So this started, like, there have been some other posts, some other outside of kind of COD Twitter sphere, but this post, I think, is what did it. Caps Locked was talking on Twitter, and then Zebleer replies to him, "I'm going to tell you something via DM about this." And so he's talking about Bobby Poff's ban with the foot pedals and like that whole conversation. And then Zebleer replies, and everybody was like, "What do you know? What do you know?" And so, and I don't think Caps told anybody, because we would have known about this beforehand if this is what they talked about. But it implies that something's coming, right? So if you're Activision, especially if you were the Ricochet team, this would have been flagged to you, and you would have actually been watching these accounts from this moment on with great interest, and probably an email alert whenever they posted. How is that possible? Let me introduce you to social media management software. So for anybody who's never done commercial level social media, you probably just log into your Twitter account or your Facebook account, and this is just how you live your life, right? You log in, you check your notifications, you reply to people. But if you actually have a company that you work for, if you represent a company, there are tons of these tools. This is one that I've used. It's over here, whatever. This is one that I've used personally, right? When I was in real estate, I used this to monitor trends in the area, to monitor other agents, to monitor my name, to my marketing, to see how it was doing. And this was 10, 15 years ago that I started using this. This is much more sophisticated now. It has AI involved. And of all the different things, a lot of it is about metrics and posting. But the important thing to keep in mind is where do they talk about it? Keep your reputation, keep your reputation tip-top shape, and stay on top of on top of trends, right? This is active monitoring of social media, right? Of Twitter, of Facebook, of Reddit, of all sorts of places. And so basically what it happens is you tell it, "I want to look for keywords. I want to monitor social media accounts." You can track, when I used it, like you could keep track of specific accounts. You could have keywords, you could have phrases, you could geofence some of these. So like you're not getting, I'm not getting alerts from like New York, where that, I live in California. New York real estate doesn't do me any good. And tons of tools to keep track of what's going on out there. And so when you have a post like this land, okay, those names, if they're not already in there, are going in there with a high priority, because now you have a known cheat developer, talking to somebody who has done work exposing cheats and kind of getting into kind of those worlds. And you have these two entities working, right? Like talking to each other publicly about this. So that being said, those names are going to be in the monitoring software with a high priority, so that when we get posts, I don't have the post pulled up, but when we get posts like Zebleer posted detailing that specific names were banned unjustly because of this exploit, and that he would be releasing information about that exploit, the teams are getting alerted, right? The people that need to know are told, "Hey, this thing, we have a post, we have something going on, take a look at it." And given how simple this was to figure out, okay, to do, when you look at the post that Zebleer made about talking about the issue, it is one of those things that if you are familiar with how Ricochet works on the inside, if you are part of that team and you see this, it will light bulb immediately. What will happen is they will pull up these accounts and they will say, all right, let's take a look at these accounts. And they will say, that's a flag, that's a flag, that's a flag. And they will look at the flags, and the flags they will likely see a friend request with the name, or the chat log. Like, it'll show them when they delve into it, they will see it in the chat log, or they'll see the friend request. I know Nuke Jesus, I believe he posted about it, that he got a friend request with that name, TriggerBot, and that triggered it, right? And he didn't think anything too much of it at the time, right? That sort of thing. But they would see that on the back end. They would see, oh shoot, there's this word attached, there's this trigger attached to something else besides our software. And the people that know what they're looking at would have looked at that and immediately gone, somebody figured this out. Like, this is not, like, they would have known immediately what they're looking at. And we know that they were working on this before Zebleer said anything about what was going on. And we know this because Call of Duty themselves posted that they fixed it on the 17th at 12:46 p.m. Before this post, we know that Bobby Poff got his account back. Before this post, we know that Censor was unbanned. And before this post, that we know that Parasite were unbanned. Okay? We have timestamped. We can go and we can look at different people saying it. They said it themselves. My account's back. Right? We have other people saying that their account was back before this post came out. So they fixed it. They reversed the bans. And my guess is the process went something like, let's turn off bans for a minute, fix it, make sure the fix is legit, unban these accounts, turn the ban system back on, and then announce that we fixed it. Okay? And then Zebleer posted his write-up. So this is Zebleer's write-up, right, where he talks about, right, like, nobody would have had the word TriggerBot before 2:19 p.m. on the 17th. That's almost 2 hours after Ricochet or Call of Duty said they fixed it. Okay? So when people come out and say everyone's lying and it's a big conspiracy, shut up. Right? You don't know what you're talking about, and I don't care what you think you know. You are not that smart. This is a very simple problem, and Team Ricochet would have known to watch for it because of this conversation that went on earlier in the week. Okay, this was the 10th of October, so they've had a week to get ready for something because, like I said in previous videos, Zebleer has not been one to lie. And he has been forthright when he talks about these things, right? There is a lot that he is telling people for reasons that I don't know. But straight up, like, maybe he just wants to make Ricochet look bad, in which case, mission accomplished. But seriously, like, it's not that complicated. There was a bug, a bad decision was made when Ricochet was built, and someone figured out how to exploit it. It got revealed, patched, fixed, accounts unbanned, and then it was announced. That's the order of things. And so anybody that sits there and says, I tested this, right? We'll go back to this one. I tested this and nothing happened. That's because before you knew to test it, it was fixed. The problem was taken off the table. You can't test for it now because they resolved it. Whether that comes back or not, like, everybody knows, like, the stim glitch will come back over and over and over again. Hopefully this isn't that scenario where they just, where they've taken it away temporarily, but they put the problem back, right? Let's not deal with that problem. But you can't test for this, right? No one can test for this. That door is closed, okay? So anybody that comes to you and says, oh, they were lying because I wasn't able to reproduce it and I tried immediately after Zebleer said what was going on, it's too late. It was fixed already because Ricochet, the team behind Ricochet, for all their problems and all the things that they have screwed up by creating this in the first place, they at least were on top of it when Zebleer made his post because they're watching us, right? all of us on COD Twitter, they're watching what we say. They know when we talk about it. They see these things, okay? They know what is going on, whether they care to respond or not. It's a whole nother topic. You can talk about that till you're blue in the face, but you can't say that they weren't aware of it. As soon as Zebleer posted what he posted that first time, they were on it and they had it fixed before Zebleer could even tell everybody what was broken. Okay? There doesn't need to be any conspiracies. There doesn't need to be any back channel phone calls. Nobody needs to have a bat phone to Activision. Zebleer doesn't need to be some secret employee out just trying to make them money in some weird way. Like, it's not that complicated. All right? Activision paid attention. Activision does watch us, right? It's not just our voice comms. They pay attention to us. And in this case, they were quick to work. Good job for them. And everybody who disagrees is wrong.